fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From Hate Arbitration. We got a long episode today. I'm going to cover a bunch of stuff. A lot of route adjustment stuff. We're going to start that this week. Had the sites we did the other day. I'll talk about those a little bit as well. Got a lot of stuff we're going to cover on route inspections. Next week, going to do the same thing. The next week, going to do the same. And we're going to cover 6-day counts fully. Got some things I'm going to cover before that. A couple of shout outs I'm going to give. Then we're going to talk about management taking pictures of our cases, also of us while we're casing. Have some good grievance stuff for that because that's rampant right now, and a few other things. So it's going to be a long, long episode. And had a good day as far as had the National Zoom. Mike Cariff put that on. Had a lot of great speakers. I'll put that up Tuesday. Did an interview with Rob and Calvin out of Build a Fighting NELC. I'll put that up tomorrow. That was a very good conversation with those people. Very militant little group there, Build a Fighting NELC. Y'all obviously know Tyler Vassar, and this is another couple of guys from that movement. And so that'll be very good. I'll put that up tomorrow. And then that Zoom meeting, he sent me the YouTube thing. I'll break that down so I can put that up on audio, and I'll put that up Tuesday so everybody can hear that. It lasted about an hour. Very good. So a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on nationally as far as new movements coming up and podcasts coming up. I'll talk about another one of those in just a second. So a lot of great stuff. A lot of people want to educate. Give a couple of shout outs. Then I'm going to talk about my man JB for a second. Got a shout out, says, hey Corey, just wanted to do a shout out to branch 1349, Grants Pass. Not sure if they listen or not. So wanted to thank my members for supporting us in our training to serve them better and for sending myself, the branch president, and the vice president to the convention. Also wanted to shout out to one of my closest friends and best vice president. Wanted to thank him for the constant support and for listening when I need someone to rant to. Thanks for all you guys doing for Made Arbitration. Anyway, sorry, so long-winded. Love you guys. And that's from Todd Doherty. And I appreciate you, brother, very much. So there's your shout-out, my man. Anybody who wants to do a shout-out, you can come on here and I'll give you one. And so that's to branch 1349, Grants Pass. Not sure if y'all listen, but y'all need to. It's going to get interesting here coming up next couple of years. Here's another one. Hey, brother, can you please do me a favor and give my brother Richie Ray a shout on your next episode and let our carriers know about his podcast on Spotify called Hot House with Richie Ray. Thank you, and thanks for all you do. And the CLC, take care, brother. Absolutely. And y'all know how I feel about Richie Ray. I love that guy. If there's a union person, it's him. If you're around the guy for any amount of time, you know that Richie Ray is about the city letter carrier and about the union, and that dude is the perfect example of how you want to be as far as a union representative. And he is 100% full bore NALC representing the city letter carrier. So absolutely. There's your shout out to Richie Ray and his podcast on Spotify called Hot House with Richie Ray. So y'all look that up and give that man some love. Hot House with Richie Ray, his podcast. So there you go, Richie Ray. I love you, brother. You know that. So there's your shout out. I'd like to shout out to my shop steward, Lance Sweeby at PRP Station, Branch 14. He fights for us every damn day. So there you have it. Absolutely. Lance Sweeby. Appreciate you, brother, for representing our people every damn day, and that's exactly how it's going to be. Here's another one. I think I may have done this one, but I forgot to delete all the ones I did the last time. So if I've done this one, I'll just give you another shout-out. It's, would you please give a shout-out to the Lions at Branch 284 in Erie, Pennsylvania. Jim J. Wisniewski, Brian Chappie Chaplin, and Tim the Bulldog Getz. Appreciate you, brother. And so there you have it. There's a shout out to Branch 284 and those lines there. All right. So there's you some shout outs. Like I say, y'all send them to me and I'll put them on there. Let me give a shout out to JB. JB had an arbitration about a month ago. He just got the decision back. And I've never seen anybody prepare for a case like JB did on this case. It was a joint statement case against a pure tyrant from East Tennessee. This guy, and I've dealt with this guy before, straight up asshole. And he caused mayhem in Eastern Tennessee to Knoxville and the surrounding area. This guy's been in trouble for a long time. And JB got the JSOV case. He was the advocate for it. And he prepped unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, he was constantly in that case. And I always say, if you want to be a good advocate, spend time in a case. If you want to be a great advocate, spend a great amount of time in a case. It's all about the time you put into it if you want to be good or great. And that's just the way it is. If you want to be good, do an arbitration every month. If you want to be great, do 3 or 4 a month. That's just the way it is. You've got to be in there to be great. And that's one of the things I'm going to change when I'm business agent is I'm not going to have 15 or 16 advocates. You will never be great. It's just difficult to do a case a month, a case every 2 or 3 months, and expect to be great. You've got to be in there. And I'll change that as from day one as a business agent. I'm not going to have 15 different advocates. I'm going to have a handful, and they're going to get all the work, and they're going to be great. And so I think it's a disservice. I understand you want to send people to training all the time, but if you have 15 or 16 advocates, very difficult for any of them to be great. And so anyway, JB went up there and won this case. And the arbitrator took this manager out, this postmaster out, said he'll never be able to supervise directly or indirectly letter carriers ever again. The reason I want to give him a shout out is this. When I was an advocate starting out, before every case, Pete Moss would call me and he would wish me luck. Do I need anything? I got everything down. Yep. Encourage me. Not that I needed that, but it was something, your business agent calling meant something. And he would say, as soon as it's done, you call me and let me know how it went. Every case was like that. Every case. We have changed in the NALC from those days. I talk about a militant union, how we were back then, how militant we were, how we weaponized everything in the NALC. And arbitration was one of those things that we weaponized. Pete Moss was constantly in arbitration. We were constantly in arbitration. And he would talk straight shit to labor about going to arbitration. Rarely did we pre-arb anything. And he knew that we had the upper hand. We had the better advocates going in there. And we've lost that with this new era of NALC. We have cowardice at the top with our president and executive vice president. You know how I feel about them. They're worthless. They're cowardly. And I said many a time, long time ago, that those tentacles of cowardice reach down to our business agent's office and reach down into our DRT teams, and then that reaches down into our Formula A's branch presidents. And that cowardice is like a cancer. It spreads. And that's what's happened to our business agents. Most of them are cowardly, and they act cowardly. And mine's no different. And so JB never got a phone call before he went to into that arbitration, which, to him, he probably don't even care. But to me, it bothered me. First off, because he's my brother. I love the guy. But never got a phone call from his business agent. Any kind of word of encouragement. Afterwards, never got a phone call. How did it go? How did you do? Anything we can work on? Never got one of those. When he got the decision, now most arbitrators will email their decision to both parties at the national level, and then the business agents will email those to the advocate. Well, JB gets an email from the business agent's office from the business agent, and it says, award. Sends it to him. No congratulations, no great job, no nothing. And that's petty. That's petty. Because of his friendship with me and his affiliation with the CLC. That's the reason he's being treated that way. I've said many a time, when I'm business agent, I will not rule based on pettiness or pride. And that is destroying my business agent's office right now, is pride. That's all that is pride. And it's a shame that that's the way it's become. But when you have a president like we have that is full of pride and is a narcissist and those things, that is how his ilk, his lackeys are. And you see that through the executive council. They're piss poor, they're worthless. And you see that when you see dealings with like this here. And unfortunately, and I hated that for JB because he deserved better than that. You talking about a groundbreaking decision for East Tennessee, for those carriers that have been traumatized by this piece of shit in management. And for him to go up there and the amount of time, like I said, the amount of time JB spent on this, and I know that. He would call me all the time. Not that he needed my help, but I've dealt with a lot of JSOV cases in arbitration. And he would say, what about sites? What about this or that? And we would talk. And I have no problem with that. I'll help anybody. But he was constantly in that case, constantly bringing things forward. What is this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he went in there and did it and got this guy removed, which is difficult. If y'all been in there, you know what I'm talking about. Arbitration is difficult. I know that I talk about arbitration all the time. I love it. It's my passion. It is very difficult. They're always difficult. You got to put in the time. You're going against labor who they don't work for a living. And so all they do is sit in there and look at the case 24/7 in their office. Well, we deliver mail. And then we have to go home, spend time with our family, work in that time with the arbitration case. And they give us 8 hours of prep. Hell, 8 hours, that's about a tenth of the time you spend on a case. If you want to be great. It's hard work. You got to be very dedicated as far as being an advocate. I just wanted to give that love to JB. Fantastic job, brother. I know the amount of time you put in it. Nobody deserves that more than you do. And I love you, man. And those people at East Tennessee are ecstatic because of you. I saw people on Reddit talking about it, on Discord talking about it, on Facebook talking about that decision, those people that have been traumatized by this son of a bitch in East Tennessee. And you had a straight hammer go in there in JB and take care of business. And so if I ever get removed, JB, I want you to represent me, man. That's how much faith I have in you. And to hell with the business agent, man. To hell with him. So much pride in that business agent's office right now. It's run it into the shitter. And a lot of business agents' offices are like that. They have run their office straight into the shitter because of pride and because of kissing this motherfucker's ass at the top. And it's a travesty. It's a travesty what has happened to my union. And but I'm not going to be like that. Like I said, if people can talk about me all they want to and I'm business agent, if you represent letter carriers, I'm going to ask you to get in there and get that work done. And that's just how it is. I know that there's a person that works at the business agent's office now, and he was an advocate starting out. He would call me every Sunday when he'd have a case, and we would talk for hours and hours. Hours and hours we'd talk, and I'd try to help him out as much as I could because it's about the city letter carrier. It's not about my time. It's not about being inconvenienced. It's about being in love with the city letter carrier and having that passion for the city letter carrier. That's what it's all about. That's what drives From A to Arbitration. That's the fuel. That's the heartbeat of From A to Arbitration, is that love, that passion for the city letter carrier. And he would call me when he'd have a case and on Sundays, and we'd talk all day, trying to help him out, give him some little insights here and there, some pointers about different things. There was another down there. It was a good friend of mine. He started out as an advocate, would call me, and we would talk for hours. I'd try to help him out as much as I could. Started this podcast. The business agents turned against me. national turned against me, and those guys quit talking to me. They quit talking to me because of that fucking pride. And so they can be damned too. I'm here for the city letter carrier. And to have that pride take over, we don't talk anymore because of a podcast, kiss my ass too. But the thing is, if those guys called me on Sunday and said they had a case and needed my help, I would help them. I'd still help them, regardless, because it's about the city letter carrier. So anyway, great job, JB. Fantastic job. Now, I talked a little bit about, remember a few episodes ago, I talked about the II, where the carrier was being questioned about the stationary events, and there's kind of extortion. Remember, they said, pay us $300, kind of a, pay us $300 and you won't get discipline type thing, based off of stationary events. Talk about these stationary events. During this period of time, you had a stationary event for this much, which equated to $300. So pay us this $300. This is in an investigative interview. So basically, pay us money or you're going to get discipline. That's extortion, and it's a crime. And I would do everything humanly possible to get people involved, postal inspectors or whatever, to say, hey, look, here's what they're doing. They're telling us that I owe them money or I'm going to get discipline. That is extortion. The union should come down on that with everything that they have. They should come down. The president, instead of golfing and doing all this other bullshit, should be on some kind of podcast or do some kind of YouTube video and say, if anybody in the country is experiencing this, let me know. And I will bring down the full wrath of the NLC on these sorry motherfuckers for doing that, for trying to extort money from my carriers. We're already underpaid, overworked, stressed to hell. Now you're going to try to steal money from me. Then you saw the scanner message talking about any stationary events will be deducted or time will be taken away. And so they're talking about taking away our money based off of scanner data, based off of stationary events that they see on the TV screens. We should have nipped this in the bud a long time ago. Y'all know my opinions on stationary events, how our bitch-ass president refused to get involved. These things are inconveniences to y'all, talking about stationary events, being questioned about stationary events. The bullying that has gone on is unlike anything I've ever seen as far as stationary events and also these memos. But it's the single greatest thing we're dealing with right now is the stationary events, because it's one of their metrics that they pulled out of their sorry asses. You see these memos come out about 9 million hours of stationary event they're going to have to get back. They're attacking the letter carrier, getting back these stationary events, not knowing what they are. They could be people taking breaks as needed in the heat, these extra breaks, lunch breaks, street breaks. They're wanting to attack us based off of these things. And instead of meeting these motherfuckers head on in the street, we say it's an inconvenience. Now you have us being extorted. Pay us $300, you're going to get disciplined. Now you have people coming out with these scanner messages saying any stationary event will be deducted, will be taken from you, which means they're going to steal our time. Had somebody reach out the other day, one of my dearest friends, who is a branch president, and he said that he caught management putting state carriers on 1017As, time disallowance records for stationary events. So now that's another thing that we have to look out for, is management is putting carriers on 1017As, time disallowance records. Now, if you've never heard of a 1017A, you have 1017B, which is unauthorized overtime, right? You've got a 1017A. And if you Google 1017A NALC, it'll bring it up. And it's United States Postal Service time disallowance record. And you have date, year, pay period, week, day, total clock time, total disallowed time, supervisor's initials, date employee notified, code, and remarks. And on the second page of it, it states this: PSDS offices, codes 90, unauthorized early begin tour ring, no work performed before beginning of tour. 91, unauthorized late in-tour ring, no work performed after in-tour. 92, unauthorized short lunch rings, no work performed during official lunch period. 93, no lunch clock rings input, no work performed during official lunch period. 94, erroneous daily clock ring adjustment, time not worked. 95, erroneous badge card used, time not worked. 96, reserved for future use. 97, unauthorized early begin to a ring and an unauthorized late into a ring, no work performed before the beginning of tour and no work performed after the end of tour. 98, unauthorized short lunch rings and unauthorized late into a ring, no work performed during official lunch period and no work performed after the end of tour. Time card offices. Codes. A, unauthorized early begin tour ring, no work performed before beginning of tour. B, unauthorized late into a ring, no work performed after the end of tour. C, unauthorized short lunch rings, no work performed during official lunch period. And that's what's on the 1017A. Then it says, note, only when a supervisor observes or has reason to know that an employee did not work while on the clock may the supervisor disallow any such time that the employee recorded. The supervisor must document the basis for any such disallowance. And so that's what it says at the very bottom. And so my buddy, he grieved that obviously, and they had to pay him. But he said that the new dumbass management idea on my area was a 1017A for stationary time. We filed the grievance and contacted the Wage Labor Board. They changed all the 1017A and did a pay adjustment. And so they were just putting carriers on 1017A logs for stationary time. When I say meet these motherfuckers head on in the street, when I say that National should have gotten this and made a national template on these stationary events, how they were attacking the carriers on that, how they were bullying the carriers, harassing the carriers based off of stationary times, based off of this GPS data. And I said, grieve that under 134 of the M39 handbook because they're doing street observations sitting on their ass in the office. And had people writing our bitch-ass president, and he was saying that this was an inconvenience. Here's where your inconvenience has led. When you let management continue to do things that you should have grieved initially, when you allow these sorry motherfuckers to keep doing these things, this is what you get. Now it's turned from bullying, intimidation, harassment, constant questioning about stationary events. Discipline be damned. They don't really care about discipline because they know they're going to lose it. It's the bullying that goes along with it. That's what I was saying the other day. It's not about the discipline. It's about the bullying that is accompanied with this stationary event stuff that they're doing, this inactivity time. Now you have them stealing money from us. You have them stealing this time from us. You have them giving us investigative interviews saying that if we don't pay $300, we're going to be disciplined. That's extortion. Now you have all of these things because why? You have a union that refuses to fight for the city letter carriers. There are too many bitches at the top right now for us to survive. We have got to change course in the NELC. However, we have to do it. We lost a great opportunity at the convention because you had too many bitches that supported this sorry motherfucker. But now we have us being done this way. Time disallowance. Threatening scanner messages, investigative interviews, and where's our union at? Where's our business agents at? What are they doing? What kind of templates are they sending down, helping y'all out with these things? Where are they going to any district manager's office saying, hey, if one more person gets an investigative interview where you're trying to extort money from them, I will call whoever I've got to call in Congress or the Senate and tell them that y'all are extorting my carriers. Where's that at? Who is going to stand up for the city letter carrier? Which one of our leaders is going to be man or woman enough to stand up for the city letter carrier and say, this shit ends today? Who is it going to be? Do we have that person? I don't know. All I see is cowardice from all these motherfuckers at the top. And it's a crying shame that that's where we have gone. It's a crying shame. We are no longer a militant union here. We're pacifists at the top. And that has bled down into our sorry-ass business agents. And it's bled down into our branch presidents, unfortunately. So, there's that. There's another thing that's going on, and this is spread like wildfire as far as social media. Management going around taking pictures of our cases with the mail in it. And they're trying to evaluate our time on mail that's in the case. It's bizarre as hell. It's no different than them going out on the street taking pictures of us, our mail in the vehicle, trying to gauge our return time on a picture. This is what they're doing now is kind of rampant, is they're taking pictures of our cases with the mail in them. And they're sending these to district. And I guess district is supposed to say, based on that mail, they've got this much time. I don't know what they're doing. It's crazy as hell. But it's a grievance. It's a very winnable grievance. So anybody in the country where management has a station where management is coming in, telling you to step out of the case, taking pictures of your case with the mail in it, grieve it. Mallory's going to put all this up for you on this episode. I have an information request. I have my contentions, where I've dealt with this a few years back. I've got the B team decision, which you can't use, but you can copy and paste things out of the B team decision. It'll have management's weak-ass argument in there about why they're doing it. And so I'm going to go over that, and then I'll get into this route inspection stuff because it's going to take all night. There's a lot to it. But this stuff has been going crazy right now, so I wanted to get this to you. And here's the information request, and JB made this information request. And it says to supervisor, it has the date, the station, Dear Management, pursuant to Article 17 and 31 of the National Agreement, I'm requesting the following information. 1, any and all photos, pictures taken by supervisor, so-and-so of any mail, carriers' cases, city carriers, carriers' gurneys on this date. Any and all data collected by this supervisor concerning any city route photos that were taken on this date. Any and all correspondence via email, text, or any other kind between supervisor and postmaster's office, district office, or area office concerning any route or carrier photos that were taken on this date. And the above information can be sent via email to, and I'm making this request on behalf of the following employees, class action. I'm making this request based on the following reason. 1, Article 15, Article 19, M39, Section 114.4, and the ASM 273.172. Now, all this stuff will be on this episode. Mallory's going to put that on there for me. And so there's your information request. All right? I have my contentions that I put in there. These are the contentions that I wrote for this grievance at the informal. And the reason I do my contentions at informal, and I've told y'all before, is because I want to speak for myself. I don't want anybody else to speak for me. That's one of the things that turned my business agent's office and national office about my podcast, is I said that I hand in contentions at the informal. You don't do that. That'll give management an idea of what you're doing. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. They're going to know what I'm doing because I'm filing the fucking grievance. So I know it's supposed to be a discussion, but I want to speak on behalf of my carriers at my station. So I write my own contentions, right? I have a very good Formal A, probably the best in the country. He does a fantastic job, and he can put in things that I don't talk about, and he can also testify. But here's the contentions, just to give you an idea of what I do, because like I say, I want to speak for myself. Now, when I write contentions, I write how I want to talk to the arbitrator. If I want to expound on things, I do that in my contentions so that when I get into arbitration, I can sit back, speak freely, and hammer home my position, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The issue is, did management violate Article 2, 14, and 19 via M39 Section 141.2, Management Instruction AS 882.2011.6, ASM 273.172, and you don't have to worry about remembering all that. Get on this episode, download that, and it's right there for you. Copy and paste that whole thing. When they took pictures of carriers on the workroom floor while those carriers were in the performance of their normal office duties, if so, what is the appropriate remedy? And it's also a 17 and 31 violation. I also have one where they just took pictures of the cases. I have two B-team decisions, one where they took pictures of the carrier's case in the mail, and there's another one where they took just pictures of the case without the carrier in it, just of the mail. We won both of those, okay? But this is the one where they took pictures of the carrier. Has the carrier, I got a statement from him about how it made him feel, how he's embarrassed because he's doing it. This carrier's been here for 30 years. Had management come in taking pictures of him. He didn't understand what they were doing. She started counting it with a ruler. They didn't give him notice of a one day count. And it says the grievance case file includes a statement from Belmead Station Shop Steward Corey Walton, which reads as follows. On September 4th, 2018, I noticed this individual, who is from Ops, walking around the workroom floor looking at carriers casing their mail. She began taking pictures of several carriers while they were in their cases casing mail. She stopped at city carrier so-and-so's case and began taking pictures of him while he was casing his mail. She then stood behind him and watched him while he cased his route. As I was leaving from my route, I observed her with her yardstick measuring this carrier's mail as he pulled it down. I've been the shop steward at Belmead for 12 years, and I've never seen anyone take pictures of my carriers on the workroom floor. I've never had a manager or supervisor express concern about Mr. So-and-so's office performance. He is a carrier with 30 years of service, and to have him done this way in front of his peers is a pathetic display by management. Had another statement from another carrier, several statements. Then it goes into page 2.1 of the NELC USPS Joint Contract Administration Manual states the following relevance. 2.1, Section 1, Statement of Principle. The employer and the union agree that there shall be no discrimination by the employer or the union against employees because of race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, age, or marital status. In addition, consistent with other provisions of the agreement, there shall be no unlawful discrimination against handicapped employees as prohibited by the Rehabilitation Act. Have page 14.1, responsibilities. It is management's responsibility to provide safe working conditions. It is the union's responsibility to cooperate with and assist management in its efforts to fulfill this responsibility. Then I have in there the Administrative Support Manual, ASM, Section 273.17, states the following relevance. 273.17, Closed Circuit Television System Security. 273.171, Scope. This section clarifies the use of closed-circuit television, CCTV, in administrative and security applications. It does not affect the manner in which the Postal Inspection Service, or OIG, utilizes CCTV equipment for criminal investigations. 273.172, Policy. The Postal Service uses CCTV systems for the protection of its employees, mail, and postal assets, and to monitor automated mail flow operations. The purpose of CCTV systems is to provide visual verification in conjunction with intrusion detection devices or exit alarms and doors equipped with exit alarms or access control devices. CCTV systems are to function as deterrents and if crime occurs in the monitored area to record evidence of it. The administrative and security uses of CCTV systems are limited to the following. B. CCTV systems are not installed to view work areas to evaluate the performance of employees. And that's where you're going to get them. B, again, CCTV systems are not installed to view work areas to evaluate the performance of employees. Management Instruction AS 882-2011-6 states the following relevance. Prohibitions under this policy. The following activities are prohibited. Video monitoring cameras in retail operations. Cameras must not be used to profile customers in any discriminatory fashion. Cameras must not be used to capture legible images of mail pieces, addresses, or any documents, credit cards, or computer screens used in transactions. Camera microphones must not be used to record or monitor any form of audio information. Privacy Act and Information Security Assurance. Retail operations and retail marketing will notify the Privacy Office and the CSO if any time in the future information is retrieved by personal identifiers or individual's appearance, or if any information is maintained in an application requiring completion of the ISA process. Handheld and cell phone cameras. Cameras or cell phone camera functions may not be used by Postal Service employees or contractors in restrooms, locker rooms, retail counter areas, mail processing areas, workroom floors, or any other areas. There you have it. It says the union contends management is a violation of the above provision and instructions outlined for management's use of handheld cell phone cameras. The union contends in the pictures eventually provided to the union clearly shows this individual has taken pictures of legible mail piece addresses, which is in violation of the above provisions. The grievance case file contains a statement from the informal A meeting from Belmead shop steward Corey L. Walton, which reads as follows. Now here's where I'll just talk shit, because when I get in arbitration, I want to speak freely and talk shit. So this is my statement. Management provided no contentions at the informal step A meeting. Now, I've never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer, but does anyone really expect me to believe that someone from ops would be sitting at her desk and just up and decide to drive from her office all the way to Belmead Station and then decide to specifically take pictures of my carrier's casing mail, and while she's at it, stop at this carrier's case on his route, all while taking pictures of him and his mail, then decide to count that mail as he's pulling it down and then say, I only took pictures, no emails or text to anyone, no data collected, she was just bored and had nothing better to do? I'd have to ask any reasonable person these things. Why did she come out to Belmead? What was she looking at that prompted her to make that visit? Who contacted her to tell her to go look at our volume? Who doesn't trust my management to record the volume correctly enough to send someone from ops out there to verify the count of it? And most importantly, why in the hell would anybody think it was okay to take pictures of my carriers while they're busting their asses doing their jobs? In my 12 years as shop steward, I've never had a supervisor or manager express concern to me over any of my carriers' office performance, not one time. Yet, we now have the employer sending people out taking pictures of my carriers while in the performance of their duties. This is demeaning and unacceptable. Employer and Labor Relations Manual, Section 375 reads as follows. 375.2 Unsatisfactory Performance. Unsatisfactory performance is a level of performance that is repeatedly or consistently below the minimum requirements expected of an employee in the position. The union contends management provided no explanation that a demeaning and harassing tactic of utilizing cell phone photography as a form of intimidation. The union contends management has failed to evidence via 1838C that this letter carrier in Belmead Station have an unsatisfactory level of performance that has been repeatedly and consistently below the minimum requirements. The union contends management in their zest is attempting to utilize their managerial positions to belittle, demean, and embarrass employees of their performance while not providing any documented evidence of any unsatisfactory performance. The union contends this individual enjoys photography so much that I would like to recommend she take herself and go to get a job at Olin Mills and quit harassing letter carriers for no apparent reason. Then I got the M39 language in there. I've got National Interpretive Settlement Step Agreement M385. It is acknowledged that the proper stipulated manner for determining the efficiency of an employee and whether or not the employee is in fact meeting standards is conduct a one-day count as provided in Handbook M39 and M41. And you'll use that when they come out on your route and they're counting your mail, taking pictures of it, measuring it. You'll use that when they're taking pictures of the cased mail. You'll use that section, that Step 4, 385. It is acknowledged that the proper stipulated manner for determining the efficiency of an employee and whether or not the employee is in fact meeting standards is to conduct a one-day count as provided in Handbook M39 and M41. The union contends management has failed in using their employees effectively and instead of communicating with employees has resorted to an intimidation tactic of taking pictures and arbitrarily counting employees' mail without notice. The union contends management has failed their obligation to its employees in Belmead Station, and station manager so-and-so provided no explanation in the informal A meeting, although he stood behind this carrier and conversed with this individual while she was harassing this carrier by taking photos of him and counting his mail for no apparent reason. The union contends management at the Belmead Station violated Section 115.4 of the M39 when failing to maintain an atmosphere of mutual respect, while this individual disrespectfully, along with Belmead management, took pictures of letter carriers in the performance of their duties and demeaned this carrier at his case while in the performance of his duties and took pictures of him and his customers' mail while also performing complete count of all mail by this carrier, letters, flats, and spurs. The union contends management at the Belmead Station and this individual abide by the provisions outlined in our collective bargaining agreements when it comes to the evaluation of a letter carrier's performance. The union requests management at the Belmead Station and additionally this individual be issued a cease and desist from taking pictures on the workroom floor of city carriers while in the performance of their duties or whatever Step B team or an arbitrator deems appropriate. And then we have the 17 and 31 arguments behind that. And everything you'll need on that, it's got Step 4, 316, Step 4, 109, 1094. It's got 1517 in there. So everything you'll need about taking pictures of our cases or the carriers will be in there. And then there's another contentions in there for another station at Nashville, both B team decisions where we won those things. And here's the B team decision on this. Said the dispute resolution team has resolved this grievance. The DRT determines management will cease and desist for photographing letter carriers in the performance of their duties without the required approval notated in Management Instruction AS 882-2011-6. Management will cease and desist in conducting counts of letter carrier route mail outside of the provisions of the applicable handbooks and manuals. Management has issued an additional cease and desist regarding the failure to provide information requested which is relevant to the investigation and processing of a possible grievance. Failure to do so in the future may result in the union's requested escalated remedies to ensure compliance. And then the B team decision just has, everything that we had talked about. I'll read management's position. Management contends they did not violate the national agreement when this individual was instructed by her boss to take pictures and count mail at the Nashville Belmead Station to compare volumes which are being entered into the DOIS numbers. Management is within their rights to photograph the mail for business purposes, and there was only one picture showing the legs of one employee. The letter carriers have a guilty conscience regarding this, and this individual has already stated that she only had the pictures that were sent through her phone and the measurement of 124 inches of mail, which was done. There are many photographs of carriers on social media that do not pertain to business, and nobody has a problem with that. So they came out, took pictures of my carriers, and it was the carrier's fault. Yes, they have a guilty conscience, and there's plenty of pictures on social media, and we have no problem with that. So anybody that's having this happen in their station, management is taking pictures, telling you to step out of the case, which is what this other grievance is about from this other station. They told the carrier to step out of the case, and then they started taking pictures of the cased mail. That's a grievance. That's a grievance. There's you an information request. There's you some contentions. Just copy and paste off of those contentions. It'll have everything that you need. Get you some statements from carriers. That's very important about whose cases got taken pictures of and stuff like that. And there's some B-team decisions. You can steal some language off of that as well. And so there you have it. There's a very good grievance starter for you based off of management taking pictures. They're doing these things all over the country. District, area are telling supervisors and managers, hey, go around and take pictures of carriers' cases with the mail in it. And I guess they're trying to project our daily leave times and return times based off of pictures of mail in the cases, which is bizarre to me because that doesn't mean anything. But for some reason they're doing it, and I always say it's for intimidation. That's the reason I put in 115.4 of the M39 handbook. you're doing it for intimidation purposes. That's not how you count mail. There's nothing you can gain by taking a picture of cased volume. Nothing you can gain. You can't tell me how much time I'll be on the street with cased volume. That doesn't include my packages, the DPS, it's nothing. And I don't know whether they're trying to gauge office time based off of that. Look, there's not even enough mail in there to be in there an hour. You do that through an 1838C, through a one-day count. That's how you check efficiency, if I'm being efficient. But they're so fucking lazy now. They refuse to do their job as far as stationary events, getting their ass out. No, they don't have to there because our bitch-ass president said it's an inconvenience. So they're emboldened by our cowardice at the top, by not going out and doing what they're supposed to do as far as Section 134 of the M39, where they're supposed to go out and watch us. They're emboldened by the cowardice we have at the top of our union. But they refuse to go do their job as far as that's concerned. They refuse to do their job as far as counting the mail properly through a one-day count. They refuse to do their job through 39.99 rides, going out and observing us on the street. They'll come out there, find you at some point on your route, take pictures of your mail in the vehicle, and they're supposed to judge that or base our return time on that, I guess. I don't know. But the Postal Service is overrun by laziness right now. Everything is done by these scanners and by the computers. They no longer have to supervise anybody. They no longer have to do counts. They no longer have to go out and observe you do anything. Everything is done based off of a scanner. It's completely made us lazy as fuck in the supervisory position. They didn't do anything in the first place. Now these motherfuckers are lazier than they've ever been. There's no obligation to go do anything. First off, the union doesn't hold them accountable. We have cowardice at the top. We don't do anything as far as that position is concerned as the president's position. So, hell, we're just in the middle getting kicked in the ass by the Postal Service and by our incompetent ass union. And so, anyway, there's that. So we got them embezzling money from us, extorting money from us, and now they're taking pictures of our cases for no reason whatsoever. So, all right, let's get into some 6-day count. I'm going to be doing this for the next few weeks, probably the next month, okay, because we're in it as far as 6-day counts are concerned. Now, there's a lot of good things going on 6-day counts. If you look on social media, you have NELC Branch 458 podcast. Write this down. NELC Branch 458 podcast. Now, they didn't ask me to promote this. I just saw it. And it's route count and inspection with an honorable guest is what it says. It's route count and inspection with an honorable guest. That's Branch 458 podcast. And so if you get on Facebook and look up Branch 458, it should have the podcast on there. Anybody that's doing 6-day count stuff right now, I would listen to it. I would listen to it. Become an expert at 6-day counts because management will never do that. They are lazy in 6-day counts, and we will bludgeon them in a 6-day count, okay? When it comes time to grieving these things, we will punish them for doing 6-day counts. It's the greatest expenditure that they have. They'll have 12 or 15 supervisors or managers come in. They'll keep them in there in a hotel for the week from different areas. They'll come in, fuck these routes up, fuck the stations up. They'll leave. We'll grieve it. They'll end up probably having to put most of them back. We'll hit them in the pocket for it. It's a huge expenditure. Punish management for doing 6-day counts. We can't grieve TRAP. We can grieve these and we can punish them. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to punish them because of their incompetence. And there's no greater example of incompetence in the Postal Service than 6-day counts. They cannot do them right. They're too fucking lazy. So, NELC Branch 458 podcast, route count and inspection. Also, John Murphy, and if you know him, he's a heavy hitter, a very strong union person. He has a YouTube video, and it's Beginner's Guide to Protect Your City Carrier Route. Beginner's Guide to Protect Your City Carrier Route. So find John Murphy's YouTube channel, Beginner's Guide to Protect Your City Carrier Route. And those are some good things for you. I know that there are some regions that are doing 6-day counts, and that's good. It needs to be constant. I wish every region had a podcast or a YouTube, and they could get on there and they could do just nonstop 6-day count episodes. But they're too fucking lazy and too fucking up in this motherfucker's ass at the top to do any educating, to do anything other than kiss this motherfucker's ass. So you're not educating your members. That's why I say on day one as a business agent, education will be the most important thing. That starts day one. My region will be the most educated region in the country. I know that for a fact. I love educating. That is my passion. I love educating my people. And so I know for a fact that my region will lead the country in education. It's probably last right now. We're probably last in the country because we're too fucking lazy in this region to do anything right. Anyway, I'm just on a tear, ain't I? I hadn't cussed in a while. And so I'm bringing it back today. Have y'all seen the movie Master and Commander, Far Side of the World? Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. It's with Russell Crowe. It's one of my favorite movies, and I've seen it 1,000,000 times. And what it is he's the captain of the HMS Surprise, and he's Captain Jack Aubrey. And this is way back in the wooden ships days, right? And they're hunting down this French vessel called the Acheron. And the Acheron is much bigger, much faster, and has much more firepower. They can't attack this thing head on. They will lose. But they're tracking this thing and they're hunting this ship. And they get into a fight with it, damn near kills everybody. The firepower of the Acheron is just too great. And so how they beat it, and if you're not seeing it, I apologize. Turn it off for about 5 minutes and come back. But how they beat it is this, they're going down to the Galapagos Islands because his best friend gets shot and he takes him down there so he can rehabilitate. He's always wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands. And so while they're there, they see the Acheron coming around. So they hustle this doctor that's been shot, hustles back to the ship and tells Russell Crowe, hey, the Acheron is on the other side of this island. While they're doing that, they've collected all these bugs and things, and this little kid has this walking stick. And so he tells Russell Crowe, look at this. And he's like, well, that's just a stick. And he's like, no, look. And he hands him this magnifying glass. And he says, it's just this insect that has disguised itself from its predators, from its prey. And so Russell Crowe gets a thought based on that. And he says, we're going to change our ship. It's going to be a whaling ship now. And it was very profitable to rob whaling ships because there's a lot of that oil and stuff on there. And he says, we're going to beat this ship, the Acheron, by its greed. We're going to use their greed against them. Their greed will be their downfall. If y'all seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And so they disguise their ship. They take all their flags down and they put up just whaling vessels. They're real uncoordinated, a lot of shuffling going on, a lot of smoke and everything. So the Acheron just comes up beside it and they just attack the shit out of it and they win. But he says their greed will be their downfall. That is management in 6-day counts. Their greed will be their downfall. They cannot do 6-day counts right because it's all about greed. It's all about taking out routes. They don't care what the data shows. They will always take more than it says because of greed. If their data shows we can take out 2, they will take out 4. One of the biggest cases I've ever had, and I talk about this one all the time, is Woodbine here in Nashville. They come in, it says their data shows they can take out 2, they take out 5. And the supervisor's sitting right there and he says, so it looks like 2, and the postmaster goes up and holds his hand up saying 5. We're going to take out 5. Greed will always be these motherfuckers' downfall. If you look at a route, taking out one route, you take out a city letter carrier, right? How much is that financially? You look at a city carrier's salary. How much do I make? Plus the benefits. They send you that little packet at the end of the year. This is how much the Postal Service pays for you. $130,000, whatever, because it's your salary plus your leave, your sick, your annual, plus your retirement, whatever. All these things combined adds up to this is how much you make a year. That's how much they save every time they take out a route. If they take out 5, that's a shitload of money that they have saved. $500,000 or more when it all comes time, with everything combined. So if they do that for 6 months and then they tell them you got to put 3 routes back in, they have won. They have saved a shitload of money. Even if you say I'm going to charge them $10 a calendar day until they correct the routes, and the arbitrator says, yes, you're going to pay $10 a calendar day to all these routes that are overburdened, they still come out ahead because they have made those savings in between times, and those are arguments we make. They have still saved. You can't hit them in the pocket enough. They have still saved money because of taking out these routes. And so it's all about greed. When you look at 6-day counts now, and a lot of people are talking about the things that, headquarters has already sent down emails, and we have seen those here in Nashville. Headquarters has sent down, this is how many routes are going to come out of each station. How would headquarters know that? How would they know that? They're basing it off of DSR, and a lot of people on the inside have told me that. They're looking at DSR data. They're seeing when you've left the geofence, when you've returned from the geofence, and when you clock out, if you're, they're saying that you've been wasting time. They're basing these things off of DSR data. Of course, they can't use that because DSR is not in Section 2 of the M39. So they kind of fuck themselves when they come in and take these routes because they can't justify it. They're basing it off of things they can't use. They're still using things from these memos. They still have people when they're coming out observing saying, well, you only get 22 minutes. If people aren't calling them on that, that's what's going to happen in 6-day counts. Y'all need to be out in an hour. If people aren't calling them on that, they're going to be using that against us in 6-day counts. Red line policies are coming back up. We've dealt with those from 8 arbitration. Red line policies, they're trying to implement those. They're doing everything they can right now dishonestly to attack the city letter carrier. That's why I say you got to punish them in your remedies. Punish the Postal Service. Hit them in the pocket. That's one of the biggest things that pisses me off about these memos is because they're still using things against us that are in those memos. Even though the memos have expired, they're still using those things against us. When I say that we have no standard, when we have no street standard, that means as soon as I clock from the office to the street, I have no standard. I have no load standard. I have no package standard. I have no street standard, no set pace at which I must walk. And so all of these things they're still using against us. When you say you got 22-minute load times, the reason that's ignorant to put that in there and the fool that did it should be terminated, talking about our president, we have no standard. We have no load standard. So you don't say that we have a load average. When you do that, you give some kind of credibility to management's position about a standard. When you say we have a package average, we do not, because we have no standard. When you say we have a cluster box average, we do not, because we have no standard. Do y'all see what I'm saying? You cannot put an average on things where we have no standard. And that's what those memos did, and they still use that against us today during these 6-day counts. You never say we have an average when we have no standard. You understand? If when I load my vehicle, it takes what it takes, I can't have an average. If I'm delivering packages and it takes what it takes, I cannot have an average. If I go into a business and it takes what it takes, I cannot have an average. I cannot have an average because it takes what it takes. And so to put those on the memos was foolish. Unfortunately, he did it. They're still using it against us today because of his ignorance. And that should have got him removed right there, just for being damn stupid, putting those times on there, those averages. Because if I have no standard, if it takes what it takes, I can't have an average. So anyway, y'all get my point on that. So let's get into the 6-day count stuff, and this is going to be forever long, and it's a lot of reading, okay? But it's something that I'm going to have to get through because I've got about 2 months of this stuff I've got to do. Now, I put this up on, Mallory's going to put this up on from arbitration.com as well, and this is the slideshow, okay? Route adjustment and inspection, and a very good friend of mine did this, and it's very good. Unit and route review. Now, this is going to go over everything you'll need to know about route count and inspections. Very long, a lot of reading, and I apologize. But next week it'll kind of be redundant, and then the next week it'll be redundant again, and the next week it'll be redundant again because, like I say, the more you do it, the more you'll know it, the more you'll understand it, okay? Repetition. Repetition and repetition. Unit and route review. All operations at the delivery units should be reviewed and any unsatisfactory conditions should be corrected before the count begins. There should be no changes in normal distribution procedures or clerical schedules during the period of the mail counts. Section 221.133 of the M39. The results of the review will be shared with the local NELC president or designee and the regular letter carrier serving the routes that require an adjustment. So, this is a grievance that we've already filed at my station. They have not shared with us the results of any review, and our count is starting next Saturday, okay? So the results of the review will be shared with the local president or designee and the regular letter carrier serving the routes that require an adjustment. So they already fucked ours up. Unit and route review. The postmaster or designee is responsible for seeing that advanced preparations are made for the mail counts and route inspections, and they are coordinated with all managers concerned. On at least an annual basis, management is required to make a route and unit review. Reviews consist of work hours, volumes, possible deliveries, edit books, DPS handling procedures, excessive errors in distribution, observation of office and street functions, to list a few. M39, Section 214. Now, y'all look at this stuff. Now, if you got an M39, get Section 2 down. There's nothing more valuable than an expert. Be an expert at 6-day counts. Get the M39 and study it. Study it, study it, study it. Listen to as much as you can on these podcasts, on Murphy's YouTube channel. Listen to as much as you can. Be an expert at it, all right? Because they're very difficult, very difficult. Dry run. Management must give you a chance to practice filling out PS Form 1838C. This practice session is called a dry run. M39 Section 217, M41 Section 917. The dry run must be conducted within 21 days prior to the start of the count and route inspection. Y'all hear me? The dry run must be conducted within 21 days prior to the start of the count and route inspection. Since any carrier in the delivery unit may be required to complete an 1838C, all carriers in the unit must participate in the dry run. Dry run. Now again, all this stuff will be on from arbitration.com, but I'm going to read it anyway, just in case you're not going to get on there and pull it up yourself. Dry run. You will be furnished a sample list of mail count items and time-used items to enter on your practice form 1838C worksheet. The supervisor must review your form for accuracy, error, or omission, and then discuss any problems with you. If necessary, the supervisor may require you to complete a second form. Week of inspection. On each day during the week of count and inspection, you should case and carry your route the same way you do throughout the year. You will count every piece of mail and complete a PS Form 1838C every day except the day of inspection. The examiner will conduct the mail count and fill out the Form 1838C on the day of inspection for the route. Each carrier has the right to verify the mail count. You are encouraged to do so. This includes all mail, even the DPS. When completing the 1838C, the more information, the better. Everything has an entry except casing mail, personal time, pulling down, and nixies. Okay? 1838C, the form is simple. All time entries are in minutes except for clock rings, which are in hundredths. Fill out the top section, identifying information. Be sure to complete the bottom as well. Count all mail, every single piece, and record an appropriate box. Form 1838C stays in the office. No street entries are made. Only your move time to the street. 1838C, continuing. Box 1, all letter-sized mail. And it's got an example on here, so if you pull it up, you'll see what it's talking about. Box 2, mail of all other sizes, flats and spurs. Box 3, accountable and signature mail. This will include all certified and registered items, COD custom mail, postage due articles, and express mail articles, regardless of size. And this is one of the things that pisses me off the most about my cowardly ass union. You had a while back, and we did episodes on certifieds in the DPS, and a lot of branch presidents says it's not a grievance. The business agent's office passed it up. To me, it's an Article 5 issue because you're changing a work practice. We were doing TRAP. They start putting certifieds in the DPS. Now we have no certifieds in the office brought around with the accountable carts. All of our certifieds have been put into DPS, and we put up no fight whatsoever. That should have been a national level grievance because you're changing a work practice. Us getting certifieds in the morning. Management wanted to take that away from us because why? They want us out of the office in an hour. So they're going to do everything humanly possible to take anything they can away from us in the office. Certifieds is one of those things. They just start putting them in the DPS. Now we get no time credit whatsoever for certifieds like we used to. We get no time credit for going out there, filling out their forms, getting our certifieds. All of that time is gone because our union failed to put up the most simple of fights. They're doing it anyway. Like I always say, if they're doing it, what can you lose? They're already doing it. Why would you not file a national level grievance on management putting certifieds into DPS? I have the email on there where they're saying they're intentionally doing it. You could have gotten that. But here we are now back into a 6-day count. They're no longer doing TRAP, so none of that shit counts. And they got one over on us. They're playing chess. We're playing checkers. You could see that coming. Anybody with half a brain could see that coming. That's why we're saying grieve it. Grieve the certifieds in the DPS. We need that time credit in the office. And our union is too fucking stupid to see that coming. Now here we are. 6-day counts are back, and we have lost every bit of that time. We got people that get hundreds of certifieds. They're in the DPS now. You'll get no time credit whatsoever for going up there and filling out those forms on the clock in the office. We've lost every bit of that time. So anyway, box 3, accountable and signature mail. This will include all certifieds. We've lost that. And registered items, COD, custom mail, postage due, articles, and express mail articles, regardless of size. Box 5, all parcel post over 2 pounds. Carrying on with the 1838C. Box 6, sequenced and collated. This would be mail that is received and delivered as a separate bundle. Advos, val packs, etc. Now our val packs come in the DPS. Box 9 and 10. These are normally not used. Box 12, change of address recorded. This will include all COA cards processed and all yellow stickers processed to 3982s. Box 13, insured receipts turned in end of day. Marked up mail is any mail that you write on. Bundles of A&K, NSN, insufficient address, unclaimed, in dispute, UBBM, and UAA are always endorsed on the top piece. 1 minute of office credit is given for every 4 pieces marked up. Now that's another way we can make a lot of time because a lot of people don't know this. Marked up mail is any mail that you write on. Bundles of A&K, attempted not known, NSN, insufficient address, unclaimed, in dispute, UBBM, and UAA are always endorsed on the top piece. 1 minute of office credit is given for every 4 pieces marked up. Get in the habit of doing that before your count. Get in the habit of doing that, getting that time. And that way, when you get to the count, it'll be very simple for you. Individually endorsed pieces of markups include deceased, vacant, address to current occupant with an endorsement, refused, no mail receptacle, hand correcting individual pieces with incorrect addresses, CFS errors. 1838C line items. What does it all mean? And this is very important because this is very confusing if you've not done a 6-day count before. Are these line items? And you're going to see that you'll write a bunch of in one line item and you won't use hardly any on the others, but it's going to break it down for you here. Line 14, accountable time. Time spent receiving and signing for accountables. Remember, arrow keys are an accountable item, right? Accountable time. This is line 14. Time spent receiving and signing for accountables. Now, our line 14 will be diminished because our union failed to fight for certifieds in the DPS. So you will not get any time credit for those because we just let them have that. I don't know why. It's stupid. But anyway, time spent traveling to the accountable cage, cart. If a clerk doesn't normally bring accountables around, we'll lose that time if we don't have a key because certifieds are in a DPS. Time spent filling out name and address on Form 3849 to case as a reminder. We've lost that time because of certifieds in the DPS. Those that get 10, 20, 30 certifieds in the DPS, you have lost time spent filling out name and address on Form 3849 to case as a reminder because your union did not fight nationally about them putting certifieds in the DPS. Time spent in the PM for being cleared of any returned accountables. Now, we'll get that time because we'll have the accountables on the street. We'll get them signed for. But time spent in the PM for being cleared of any returned accountables. Line 15, withdrawal of mail. Time spent loading the ledge with mail. Time spent cutting straps, removing plastic and rubber bands. Time pulling mail from the hot case or other distribution area. That's line 15. I'll go over that one again. Line 15, withdrawal of mail. Time spent loading the ledge with mail. Time spent cutting straps, removing plastic and rubber bands. Time pulling mail from the hot case or other distribution area. Lines 16, 17, and 18. Line 16, sequencing and collating mail, rarely used. Line 17, strapping out time, rarely used. Line 18, office break, local option. So if you take an office break, that's where you'll put it in as line 18, 10 minutes. Line 19, vehicle inspection, and this is critical. This is critical. They're wanting to take away our fixed office time, right? Management comes in and says, all you have now is 20 minutes of office time. You case your mail and you go home. Or case your mail and you go to the route, right? We still have 33 minutes of fixed office time. They cannot take that away from us. And this 6-day count will prove that to them, okay? So all this stuff they've been talking to y'all about, we don't have fixed office time any longer. You only get 20 minutes to case your route and you have to go to the street. All of that's bullshit. And most of the places, most regions didn't even fight that. Didn't even educate their carriers because it's still going on social media. Most of your business agents officers are too lazy to fight that. Okay? They just didn't get in that fight. They just sat on the sidelines and abandoned us. But line 19, vehicle inspection. Very important that you get every carrier in your office going out and inspecting their vehicle now. Go out and do that expanded vehicle safety checklist. And I talked about that on prior episodes. If you go back to my TRAP episodes about route protection, all those are still relevant. And I may do those again. But from the time you obtain your keys until begin your next task, use expanded vehicle safety checklist. Line 21. Line 21 is the miscellaneous category for recurring office functions not listed in lines 14 through 19. M41 section 922.51H. Line 21 functions are recurring in nature and are not deducted from the office time. Each line 21 entry should be marked with A, B, C, etc. A full explanation of the entry is required in the comments box at the bottom of the Form 1838C. Line 28 function include performing window caller service, weekly safety talks and other appropriate unit discussions, travel to and from the throwback case or to other designated locations to return markup mail and misthrows, replenishing the forms pouch, removing tags, communicating with managers or supervisors. If it is related to inspection, you should be on line 22. Line 21 continued, verifying hold mail. Now, verifying your hold mail. If you got a hold mail that goes out on a Wednesday and you got a tub of mail, you can look through that hold mail to verify that each piece goes to that address, okay? If you got a tub of mail, that's verifying the hold mail. You can pick it up. This one goes out today. I'm going to look through each piece to make sure each piece goes to that address. If they don't let you do that, make sure you request to speak to your shop steward. All right? That's verifying hold mail. Travel to and from DPS racks and reviewing DPS prior to submitting Form 3996. A lot of managers are telling carriers they can't go look at it. You can. That's how we judge our daily workload. If I've got 2 trays of DPS, I may not need a 3996. If I've got 6, I probably will. So we have the right to go travel to and from the DPS racks to review the DPS prior to submitting a PS Form 3996. Depositing vacation hold mail into designated areas. Returning empty equipment to a designated area. And here, when you roll down a hamper and load your vehicle, bring the hamper back in. Make sure you're getting that time. If you go down and you're putting your parcels in there, you're using your load truck feature to make sure you're taking as much time as you can loading your vehicle. Make sure you're using your load truck feature. And you have a package that's not yours, don't give that to somebody that's going back up and saying, hey, take that back up for me. You take it up yourself. 6-day counts are all about minutes. How many minutes can you get? It's all about minutes, right? So, take the package back up yourself if it's not yours. It's not your routes. Take your equipment back up after you finish loading your vehicle. Returning misthrown mail, including accountable mail. That's what that's talking about. Taking box holder mail to designated area. Checking for sleepers. Line 21 continued. Turning off lights and cleaning work area prior to street departure. Edit book work if normally kept updated by carrier. Any other recurring necessary task in the office that is not covered by any other line item. Completing Form 3996. Retrieving, replacing, and docking scanners. Retrieving parcel hamper. Line 22. Line 22 time will be deducted from your office time. Line 22 functions are not recurring in nature and are deducted from the office time. Each line 22 entry should be marked with A, B, C, etc. A full explanation of the entry is required in the comments box at the bottom of the 1838C. Line 22, waiting for mail. 1838C questions for examiner. Union business, if the grievant. Vehicle repair forms, personal phone calls. Those are examples. Line 23, time spent counting mail, time spent filling out the 1838C. This time will be deducted from your office time. All right? Blank forms should be ready when carriers clock in. Talking about the 1838C. Additional forms are available if necessary. Line 21 is your friend. It's recurring work that's counted. Line 22 and 23 are not your friend. Those times are deducted. Office tips. Once during the week, verify each piece of mail on hold, whether hold for order or vacation hold. Record on line 21 as verifying hold mail. I'll read that again. Once during the week, verify each piece of mail on hold, whether hold for order or vacation hold. Record on line 21 as verifying hold mail. On the first day back from a non-scheduled day, run through the pink cards, the 3982s, to see if any COAs were recorded by the carrier tech. Y'all get that? On the first day back from a non-scheduled day, run through the pink cards, 3982s, to see if any COAs were recorded by the carrier tech. That's good time. Review DPS and parcels prior to submitting a PS Form 3996. Don't get in a hurry because you're running behind your normal time. Remember, you've been counting mail. Don't try to catch up after you count mail. Office tips. You should record a minimum of 1 minute for each line item, even if it only takes seconds. They're going to do that to us. JB has a perfect example. When he was out delivering mail, he's walking up to a porch and drops a piece of mail, reaches down, picks it up, and he keeps going on. When he gets back, he realizes that the person watching deducted an entire minute because he reached down and picked up that mail, because it doesn't go by seconds. So they deducted a minute. He had to challenge that, and he won that. But that's how they do. They're dishonest as hell. Drops a piece of mail, reaches down, picks it up, keeps walking. They deduct a minute. Okay, so, and we'll get into that later. You should record a minimum of 1 minute for each line item, even if it only takes seconds. Every minute you're not physically casing mail, you should record your time on a line item. Any time spent on line 22 and 23 will be deducted from your office time. Every line 21 and line 22 should be noted with a comment. Make every effort to be present during the inspection week. On the day of inspection, when followed by an examiner, all carriers, regardless of ODL status, may be required to work overtime. We suggest you plan to work your entire route every day, regardless of ODL status. Day of inspection. Perform your job as usual. On the day of inspection, the examiner will follow you around all day in the office and on the street, observing and making entries on various paperwork. Don't engage in conversation. They will take notes. Don't present ideas on how to save time. Here's another tip. Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water in the office. Drink a lot of water on the street. Restroom breaks are your friend. Comfort stops are your friend. I had those sites that I read. They told you what they felt, what most arbitrators felt were overburdened routes, 8 hours and 15 minutes. They told you about remedies that we requested, what they felt comfortable with, half hour's pay, right? They also told you about line items, restroom breaks, saying hello, different things like that. This is still the Postal Service. But comfort stops is one of those things. They're saying, that, how do you tell how many comfort stops is appropriate? Drink a lot of water, okay? I got carriers in my office that said they're going to take laxatives. I wouldn't do that. But hey, whatever you got to do, man. Whatever you got to do. So anyway, 1838C, practice. Street tips. Examiners should not set the pace or make suggestions. They cannot say, man, you're going slow. If they say anything like that, make sure you tell your shop steward, okay? They will try to pace you. If they're walking with you, they're going to be about 5 or 6 steps ahead. Let them go on. They can be sitting up at the vehicle for all I care. I have no street standard. They cannot make me walk faster. I have no street standard. As soon as I leave that office time to the street time, I have no standard. There's no load standard. There's no parcel standard. There's nothing. You're going to get me back into those memos. So, Examiners should not travel ahead. They should remain in a position to observe on park and loop routes. Examiners should not help, make suggestions, block traffic, hold doors, etc. They are to be invisible. Examiners should not discuss mail volume or any evaluations of the route with you. Do not finger mail when walking up or down steps or curbs when crossing streets or any time it would present a safety hazard. Do not touch mail while driving, and that's a huge habit of a lot of people when you're doing mounted delivery. You put mail in a box and you're fingering that mail going into the next stop. Do not do that. Do not do that. Put the mail in the box, put it back in drive up to the next box, put it in neutral, then finger that mail and put it in the box. Put it back in drive up to the next box, put it in neutral, then finger that mail, get the mail ready, put it in the box, put the vehicle in drive up to the next box, put it in neutral. Up and down hills, you're required to put it in park, put it in neutral on flat surfaces. That's a requirement. That's a requirement. Do not combine breaks with lunch period. Do not extend your lunch or break. Follow the prescribed line of travel unless you normally deliver in a different order and management is fully aware. Follow all safety rules. Take any wash-up time allowed per your LMOU. Take all normal shortcuts. Clean out stuffed cluster boxes once as you go during the week. That's another big one. Clean out stuffed cluster boxes once as you go during the week. When delivering to cluster boxes, only open the boxes that can be safely serviced at once from a stationary point without risk of someone coming up and removing mail. Perform curbside deliveries according to M994. Use seat belts at all times. Shut and lock the door when away from the vehicle. What happens now? The week after inspection will be used as the 8th week of the 8-week time card analysis, 1840B, of your route. It cannot be emphasized enough. Continue to carry your route the same way you do throughout the year. Management must place adjustments into effect within 52 calendar days of the completion of the count. That's M39 Section 211.3. PS Form 3999. Street deductions, backtracking, animal interference, waiting for relays, waiting for transportation, waiting other, temporary detail, management time, accident, replenish. And then it's got the $39.99 on there showing different highlighted things. PS Form 1840. The PS Form 1840. Only the regular carrier's time is used. Days the route was serviced by a carrier technician or replacement carrier should be bracketed. Saturdays should be excluded on routes that have abbreviated or non-deliveries on Saturdays closed businesses, and this will be a point of contention. We've dealt with this in arbitration before where management said, since Saturdays are abbreviated, we're going to take out the next highest volume or the highest volume day of the week. That's Monday. We're going to take out Monday because Saturdays are abbreviated. They will attempt to do that. That's how stupid they are. And we had to go to hearing on it. So there's nothing in the contract that states that. The only thing that in the contract states is abbreviated delivery for Saturday. And that's it right there. Saturdays should be excluded on routes that have abbreviated or non-deliveries on Saturdays closed businesses. Office time selection. Office time is usually evaluated at the lesser of the carrier's average office time during the count week or the average standard time during the count week. An exception to normal office standards may be made for carriers with 25 years of continuous service or those over the age of 55. Street time selection. Management has the choice of 2 street times, the week of inspection average street time or the 8 weeks analysis average street time. Management must give a reason for the selected street time, and it cannot be based solely on the fact that it is the lower time. And you saw some arbitrations. I read those to you a couple of weeks ago that talk about that. So go on that episode, pull up those sites if you're an advocate or a Formal A, read those sites. That we'll use those in arbitration. But again, management must give a reason for the selected street time. It cannot be based solely on the fact that it is the lower time. Auxiliary assistance. Auxiliary assistance should only be granted in unusual or emergency situations during the week of inspection. The replacement carrier's time is not recorded. The time it took the regular carrier to carry same portion of the route on day of inspection is added to the street time that day. And there's some more pictures for you. Like I say, pull this up. It's got some good highlighted things on these forms for y'all to look at. Carrier consultations. Here's another one, and I'll have some sites for y'all on this. This is where we busted their ass on the Woodbine case. This is where they fail a lot of times. And I'll have some good sites for y'all. Each 6-day count thing is broken down into these different like carrier consultations. So I'll get you a couple of sites on that. That'll be good for you as Formal A and advocates, okay? And that'll save y'all a lot of work. I'll pull those up for you. Carrier consultations. Management is required to provide Form 1838 to the letter carrier 5 calendar days before the consultation, and Form 1840 to the carrier 1 day before the consultation, M39 Section 214.4. I'm going to read that again. Management is required to provide Form 1838 to the letter carrier 5 calendar days before the consultation, and Form 1840 to the carrier 1 day before the consultation, M39 Section 214.4. Time adjustments due to operational changes or improper practices must be discussed during the carrier consultation. If management does not have the comments documenting the change, the carrier may note the absence of documentation on the Form 1840 or attachment, initial and date the notation. I'll read that again. Time adjustments due to operational changes or improper practices must be discussed during the carrier consultation. If management does not have the comments documenting the change, the carrier may note the absence of documentation on the Form 1840 or attachment, initial and date the notation. If management does not provide the documentation within a week, the time adjustment is disallowed, M39 Section 242.345. Carrier consultations. If management excludes a day from the 8-week analysis, the reason must be documented and discussed with the carrier during the consultation. If management does not have comments documenting the change, the carrier may note this absence of documentation on the Form 1840 or an attachment. If management does not provide the documentation within a week, the time adjustment is disallowed, M39 Section 242.345. Management must enter your comments and recommendations on Form 1840, M39 Section 243.11. And that's critical. Make sure that your carriers give recommendations. Make sure that you do it, because management will not take those into consideration, right? But make sure they're making recommendations. Management must enter your comments and recommendations on Form 1840, M39 Section 243.11. When we get those, we will address the carriers. We'll ask them, are these your comments? I promise you this. Management is so fucking dishonest that they will write comments down that you did not make. They will do that. They will write comments down that you're satisfied, that you had no problems, you had no issues. They will do that. Make sure when you get these 1840s, you go to the carrier. Are these your comments? Were you fine with? I never said that. That is not what I said. I told them I wish they would not bother my route. I told them that I couldn't take any more. I told them my route's 8 hours, regardless of what they showed, whatever. make sure that you enter your comments and recommendations on the Form 1840, that management's doing that correctly. Management is required to discuss certain matters at the evaluation consultation. Mail volume, M39, Section 232.1c. Evaluation of the route, M39, Section 232.1c. Any time adjustment to evaluated street time based on alleged improper practices or operational changes. And that's where you'll catch them, like JB did, when they say, well, we took a minute off here because you dropped a piece of mail. We will challenge that. Okay? Well, we took a minute off here because you said hello to this person. We'll challenge that. And I had those sites for you there. One of the reasons I picked those sites is because it covers all these things. That's where the arbitrator said, hey, this is still a service. As long as they're not stopping, having coffee, stopping saying, hey, how are you doing? How's your family? That's not a disallowance. Okay? So any time adjustment to evaluated street time based on alleged improper practices, and that's what those sites are for. Any adjustment of evaluated street time based on a claim that conditions during 8-week time card period or week of count were not normal so as to justify not including such day or days in base street time computation, M39, Section 242.346. PS Form 1840R. I know this is a lot. I know this is a lot of stuff, and I'm going to do probably the same damn thing next week and the same damn thing the week after that and the week after that. It's important that we bust management's ass on 6-day counts. You have got to punish them for doing 6-day counts. They're coming into 6-day counts trying to take routes. I told y'all that a few months back where that person that was in the know said that they told them they expect to get all the routes they lost in TRAP during the 6-day counts. They're coming in with a purpose, and that's to fuck us over. We have got to fuck them back. We've got to punish them in 6-day counts and make them regret doing these. Okay? You got them into TRAP. You thought that they could be honest. We knew that they would not be. They completely fucked that up. The TRAP process. It was a debacle. They come out of that. Now they're going to go back to 6-day counts. They've proven time and again they can't do that right. They fucked that up. We'll punish them for that and make them come back to the table and do something a little bit better. 1840 and 1840R evaluated times should match. And there's good examples on here. So like I said, get on here and pull these up. All right? Pull these up and read these. If you're going through a 6-day count, even if you're not, educate yourself on everything you can. I want to be an expert at every single thing. I'm not, but I want to be. I want to be an expert at 6-day counts. I've dealt a lot of arbitrations on 6-day counts, but I'm far from an expert. Right? So get on here and pull this up and just study it. If you're bored, study this. You'll really be bored. But anyway, so there's some more diagrams for you. And it shows, it's highlighting all these forms on things for you to look at. Carrier consultations. Management is required to discuss certain matters at the adjustment consultation. The proposed relief or addition, what they're going to take off or put on. The reasons for the proposed adjustment, whether the carrier agrees or disagrees, the reason the carrier agrees or disagrees, the comments and recommendations of the carrier. This is critical, and this is where we'll get them most of the time, and I had those arbitration sites that talk about it, that they didn't take any of these things into consideration. I'll read it again. Management is required to discuss certain matters at the adjustment consultation. The proposed relief or addition, the reasons for the proposed adjustment, whether the carrier agrees or disagrees, the reasons the carrier agrees or disagrees, the comments and recommendations of the carrier. Management is not allowed to require you to sign a statement during the consultation. M39 Section 243.11a. Read that again. Management is not allowed to require you to sign a statement during the consultations. M39 Section 243.11a. Consultation tips. Your involvement in consultation is critical. You can understandably have the attitude that management is going to do whatever they want to do, and you're correct. They will do whatever they want to do, but your steward has as much stronger argument that carrier input was not considered if you give input, if you do not give input. I had that cite for you. He talks about that, the importance of taking the carrier's comments into consideration. Arbitrators will consider that, and that's huge for us. And I'll read that again. Your involvement in consultation is critical because you're going to go in there mad. They're going to fuck your route all up. You probably had this route for 25 years. They're going to fuck it all up. Do whatever the fuck y'all want to do. Y'all fucked us all week on the 6th account. We had no mail. Y'all have laughed all week about it. You're going to do whatever you want to do. Go to hell. Don't do that. This is not for them. This is for your steward. This is for us, the advocates that are going forward with these things. I know you're going to be angry. Everybody will be angry in a 6-day count, but it's only 6 days, right? It's only 6 days. Now, the mayhem that they create will go out the next few months, but we're back to being on our own then, right? We're back to being just us. 6 days of shit from sorry asses that don't do shit all year. Come in there. You're going to be mad. Do not do yourself a disservice and the union a disservice by going in there and not participate in these consultations. All right, I'll read this again. Your involvement in consultation is critical. You can understandably have the attitude that management is going to do whatever they want to do, and you are correct. They will do whatever they want to do, but your steward has a much stronger argument that carrier input was not considered if you give input. It's a huge argument for us. It's one of the best ones that we have. Don't let management simply go through the motions conducting a consultation. Ask questions. How'd you come about this? Why did you come about that? Here's my route. Why do I have this over here? Why are you taking this off? Do not be intimidated in the consultation. Ask questions. Listen, this is one of the strongest things I can tell you. Don't be a pacifist like your president in hearing these consultations. Stand up for your route. Stand up for yourself. Do not be intimidated in a consultation. They can't do shit to you. Ask questions. This is your route, and you have the right to see any and all paperwork that was relied upon to evaluate your route. Rarely does management provide the carrier with the examiner's comments. Write on the 1840 that you have not received this information and that you are requesting it be provided to you. Listen to this again. Rarely does management provide the carrier with the examiner's comments. And that's where JB busted her ass on his. That's where a lot of people get them because they don't want you to know what they're saying. Write on the 1840 that you have not received this information and that you are requesting it be provided to you. Do you have abbreviated delivery on Saturdays? Tell them in the consultation they should exclude Saturdays from your street time average. So if you have a business route, on Saturdays, if they're not excluding that or they don't know that when you're in the carrier consultation, let them know, hey, Saturdays I have abbreviated delivery. I don't have all my delivery on Saturdays. I have about 50-50. Tell them in the consultation they should exclude Saturdays from your street time. If you don't tell them and they include that, it's going to screw your route royally if they include 4 hours of delivery time on Saturday. And that's it. Explain why you believe the week of inspection time or the 1840B time is more representative of your time. And that's that. That's that for today. That was long, but hopefully that helped you. And I think it did. If you pull this up, especially, look at it and it'll help you. Shop stewards, they suck. 6-day counts suck ass for shop stewards. Carriers is 6 days. Shop stewards, you got work. You got work. Try to find you a 6-day count expert. Fortunately for me, my branch president is ours, Dana. She is amazing, and she's going to handle my formal aid. JB's handling my grievance. The grievance is out of my station. She's assigned him to be my steward for my station, and she's going to handle the Formal A, and that way I can be the advocate for my station if it goes to arbitration. And so, but she's a master at these things, and I'm very fortunate. Your business agent's office should have one as well that they can get you in contact with. And that way you can file the right grievances, educate yourself, okay? Pull this up. It's going to be from arbitration.com. Pull that up. Also, those grievances on them taking pictures. Anything they do, man, we're going to set the ass on fire here on from arbitration.com, right? Business agents be damned that ain't doing nothing. Their time is running short, though. But anyway, long episode. Sorry about all that. That was a long one. And next week's going to be just the same. We're going to have a long episode next week. I'm going to cover just about the same stuff, and we're just going to keep doing it. Keep doing it, all right, until we're all experts. Tomorrow, I have an episode. Talked with a couple of gentlemen from the BFN, Builder Fighting NELC. That will be up tomorrow. Very good conversation with these two gentlemen. That'll be up tomorrow. And then I'll put up the national Zoom that we had. Kara sent me that. I will get that downloaded, and I'll put that up Tuesday. Okay, I've got an arbitration Tuesday, a joint statement case here in Nashville. A very interesting case, very interesting case. So I've been working on that today, been on that Zoom meeting as well, and then talked to those other two gentlemen earlier, so been kind of busy. And then tomorrow I'll be busy prepping my witnesses, and then that hearing Tuesday. But I'll have that episode put up tomorrow night for you, and then Tuesday have that care thing. Next Sunday we'll do some more 6-day counts. So we're getting busy, man. We're getting busy, but that's fine. I love y'all very much, and I'll do anything I can to help you and protect you. That's just the way it's going to be from here on from8arbitration.com, right? On From 8 Arbitration. I don't know why I keep saying that. From 8 Arbitration, that just comes out like that. But so anyway, y'all have a fantastic week. Please be safe. Right? Safety's paramount. Y'all take care of yourselves. I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all next Sunday. All right? Bye.